All right, so this is our blast room. This is a dust collector basically with a Schmidt pot in the rear corner, and it's operated by a 185 CFM diesel screw compressor, and it's a pretty bad boy. It gets it done. So one of the things I'll show you before we start, grab this magnet. The blast media that we use, if you see here on the ground, is stainless steel grit. And this is actually stainless steel. As you can see there, that's metal. This is a very long wearing media. I probably have, I would say 20 bags in here, and it's been in here almost 2 years. So as long as you can keep it inside the box, you're in good shape. You start getting outside of the box, and that's where you run into trouble. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing today. Well, one of the things we're going to be doing today. This ain't really enough to take up a couple hours, actually. As you see, they're stainless steel parts. These are aluminum. The 2 burp tanks are aluminum. Everything else is stainless steel. This is a rudder stick, radar bracket, just jump seat frames. They're all made out of stainless steel. They're all fabricated. They're all welded, kind of, you know. They got lines and gnarliness on them. So the first thing that we got to do is blast them. We need to establish a profile that's about 100 grit to 120 grit. I like a little bit finer blast profile. You get less micro gassing, which is where air gets trapped in the blast profile, and then when you put it in the oven, that air expands and makes a bunch of tiny pinholes all over the part. We want to try to avoid that. On stainless steel, it's not as big of a problem as it would be on a softer metal. And the reason why that is because stainless steel is a hard metal. And along with the media and the part are kind of competing with each other. They're about the same hardness. When it comes to these aluminum burp tanks, though, they're much softer than the stainless steel grit, and they profile up a lot more than a stainless steel does. The other thing that I will tell you is this media is extremely heavy. It's probably twice the weight of, as a matter of fact, it's a little bit more than twice the weight of a mineral media, like sand, garnet, star blast, which I've used all of those. They're all very dusty. The material breaks down. Not only are you dealing with the dirt and dust that comes off of the part, you're also dealing with the media breaking down, where that's not as big of a problem with stainless steel grit as it is with a regular mineral media. So I guess what we're going to do is I'm going to go around and fire up the compressor. Oh, what I wanted to tell you is being that the media is twice as heavy, we shoot this media at half the pressure. So this is just physics. This is basic physics. It's mass times acceleration. The mass is the weight of the media. The acceleration is how much air pressure you're using. So if I have a heavier media, I don't have to accelerate it as fast to have the same amount of impact. Is it in a nutshell. That's a very basic, simplified version of it, but that's how it works. We have the regulator dialed in to about 45 PSI for this. We are using a Nova 3 fresh air helmet, as you can see, that has tear off. So when you can't see, you tear it off. And that's pretty much the setup for blasting. We got filters in the doors that need to be replaced. They're raggedy as hell. Let me go ahead and tell you about this media and the cost of it. Oh, Lord, I hope you're sitting down right now on your couch watching this. So a regular bag of media, sand, garnet, star blast. Well, sand's a lot cheaper, but star blast and garnet, which are the 2 main things we were using before. The last time I bought them were about $13 a bag. This media is $175 a bag. I got a radio in the background here. Sounds like somebody's pulled up. Let me help this person out, and then I'll get back to you. All right, so we're going to go out there and fire up the diesel compressor, and we're gonna blast all this stuff, knock the shine off of it. She's a little too smooth and shiny to powder coat. I'll go start the compressor and blast this stuff, and we'll come back and look at it when it's blasted. All right, it's about 20 minutes or so later, and we got the parts all blasted and blown off. They're ready to be hung up on a cart, prepped out to be sprayed. We're gonna preheat and hot flock these pieces. So that'll be the next step. I guess the next step is I will put these up on a cart and hang them, and then I'll show you what that looks like and how that is. What we have here is these are pieces of garden hose. Yes, believe it or not. And the reason those are on there is because, let me pull this, they are pieces of all thread. And we really don't want to blast those. In the beginning of the video, remember me telling you these are stainless steel. Stainless steel likes to gall. So we need to mask the threads for blasting. We definitely don't want to blast the threads. I try to blast no external threads at all, if I can, because it just makes the bolts and fasteners just work like poop. It's terrible. So instead of taping this, there's 100 different ways to do it. I just grabbed this little 99-cent, a foot garden hose and throw it over top of it and blast it. And you get a fairly nice line. I mean, it's not blasted on the threads on the bottom. And I usually eat a couple, 2 or 3 threads with my tape, just so we get a little overlap. And that's it. We're gonna tape these with high temp tape so that we don't get powder on them. The same way here, they have a little trouble with the lids fitting because you get a little extra thickness here and they don't want to do their thing. So what I do is I run tape around this edge, and we tape like from here up so they don't have problems getting the lids on and off. That's been a problem in the past, and I guess it kind of depends on what color you're doing. When you're doing gloss black, it's not as thick as some colors. I mean, it can be, but if you're doing like a silver vein with a transparent top coat, it gets incredibly heavy there and you just can't get the lid on. So we are going to throw this stuff up on a cart, and I'll come back and show you that. Okay, here we go. We have everything hung up on a cart. We still need to do the masking, but I just wanted to show you this part first. There's a few things I guess we should talk about here. One of them is, okay, if you look, there's 2 different things. There's pre-made hooks. You see that? And then I also have wire. Okay, and if you look, that's what I call an eyelet. See how that's made? And what that does is it doesn't create a wire mark. You got to think, if I had a hook, the hook would lay on this part and it would be bad. There would be a bare spot, and I don't want that. So in those situations, we use an eyelet. Over here, when you have to hang up something kind of heavy, you see how that eyelet's twisted? Got a little twister on it right here, where she's twisted together. You can see the bottom. This holds much more weight than that does, okay? If you need it to hold weight, you should probably twist it. This wire is electric fence wire that I buy from Tractor Supply. It is fairly cheap. They make it in 2 different gauges. I think there's maybe 17 and 14 or 11 and 14, something like that. This is the thicker stuff that's here. See how it's kind of stiff? And then over here, I have the thinner stuff. And what we got here hanging up is the struts. We need to come back and do all the masking. We got to mask the top of these. There's not a lot of masking on this cart. I think it's just the burps. The other cart, of course, we got to cover all the threads here, and then the threads up here, and the threads down here. But other than that, we look like we're about ready to go to mask and preheat these babies. And this batch of stuff is going gloss black. The gloss black that's going on here is a PPG product. I tend to like the PPG products a little better than most. Primarily, I use PPG and prismatic powders. You cannot touch prismatic powders for custom colors. They are the undisputed kings of custom colors. We spray a lot of illusions, metallics, things like that. We're more of a custom shop than we are just a, run-of-the-mill industrial powder coating shop. We do more custom stuff than we do. Let's pan around here and see what we got. Well, you can see we got some red, some purple, some black. Black's pretty popular. A couple of different shades. That's gloss. That's flat. Yeah, but we do all kinds of different stuff. There's some wheels over there. This is C10 suspension stuff. This is more parts of this Airboat set that we're doing. We just got a little bit of everything. But we're gonna go ahead and mask this, and I'll get back with you soon as the masking is done. All right, guys, we're back, and we have all the stuff taped up. You can see the end is taped up on both of these. So what I do here is I put a piece of 3/8 around the whole thing, and then I put a piece of 3" down to it just to cover it up, as you can see. It makes a pretty nice line. If you keep, it helps if you push the tape all the way down. Don't be a dingus. But there's that. And then over here, we have the struts. We're gonna go ahead and dust this up. The air compressor's running, the oven, probably a lot of noise. I don't know if you can hear me. I got a mic, so let's see how it goes. You don't know till you try it. So we're gonna dust it up, and then in the oven it goes. And I'll explain all this that you saw after we're done. I think that's probably the best way to do it. I don't know, we'll find out. And what we're gonna do here, the first coat was just to cover up the hard to get spots, and we need the ground over here. It was just to cover up the hard to get spots, the corners, things like that. I like to expand the air that's in the part or trapped in the blast profile, and then spray it while the air is expanded, so that you don't get as much electrostatic outgassing. I'm sorry, it's not electrostatic outgassing, it's microgassing. So we're gonna try to eliminate as much of that as possible. You wanna try to maintain a pretty good distance on your second coat. After all, this is an electrostatic process. And I have a nickname for what I call it the solar wind. It's actually the corona that comes off the end of the gun. If you get it too close to the part, that's bad. That's very bad. Sometimes you can't help it. You got to get it in there, like when you got to stick the gun in something to spray it. It's just, you want to try to minimize that as much as you can and getting the gun too close to the part. You'll mess up the mirror charge. And you don't really want to do that. Once you mess the mirror charge up, it's very hard to get it back. And we're gonna go around this side, get to the bottom. Somebody's gonna see the bottom, right? Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine with powder coaters. Oh, you don't see that? Oh man, I can't get with that. That's just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be right. This is for aesthetic and corrosion reasons. Well, maybe not on stainless steel, but most of the time we're trying to keep the stuff from corroding along with making it pretty. All right, we're going to put our ground over here on this pole. If you notice that we have aluminum foil at the top, and what that does is it does like 3 or 4 or 5 things actually, but the biggest thing that it does is it grounds every part that's on that pole all at the same time. So if you're doing a bunch of little stuff, you kind of want the pole to ground so that you don't have to ground every individual piece, because that would be happening if you don't have a ground. You got to ground each piece, and it's not good at all. It slows you down. It causes you to make mistakes because you're worrying about the ground instead of covering the part, which is the name of the game. That's the end of the day. This has to look good, be good. So the less distractions that you have while spraying it, you know, like doing YouTube videos and things like that, the better off you're gonna be. I've had mistakes where I'll be spraying something and a customer will come in and I'll stop what I'm doing and help that customer. And the next thing you know, I go back to spraying, I bake it, and there's a holiday somewhere. What I call a holiday is when you miss something. You took a holiday instead of doing your job, which is really not what we're looking for here. This stuff is not easy to redo. You really want to get this right the first time. Plus, you are not getting paid enough to do it twice. And if you are, I need to talk to you about how you do that, because I can't seem to figure that part out. If you saw before, I was wearing that, I call it my binky. And it's my respirator. As you notice, I wear glasses. And I'm like legally blind without these glasses. Not really, but I feel like I am. So what happens is when I wear a respirator, when I exhale, it fogs my glasses up. I can't see a damn thing. So it makes it kind of hard to powder coat when you can't see. So what I did is I used a snorkel, is what that is. I'm in Florida, so I went to Beach Wave and bought a snorkel, and it is actually plugged into a 3M respirator filter, and you just have to train yourself to inhale through your mouth and exhale through your nose. And I've done that over the past, I don't know, year or 2 years or however long it's been since I've been using that. And it works pretty good. It looks funny, I will admit that. People laugh at me for it, but I'm not breathing that stuff. I am now, apparently, but I'm not breathing that stuff on a regular basis. So if you can keep from breathing it, the better off you are. All right. Well, apparently that's dusted. So what we're going to do is walk around. If you notice, I'm wearing a light, okay? So the first coat melts, okay, and it's glossy. And when you put the second coat on, the second coat's dusty and it's flat. So what I'm doing now is looking for any shinies. Like in that angle right there, I can see shine down it. That means that's a holiday. Mike did not cover that area. And this is your chance to catch that. After this, it's a respray. And you don't want to have to do that if you don't have to. I want to try to not do that. So I spend a fair amount of time with the light looking at things. And I will tell you that if you wear a light on your head, you'll get less rejects. At least I do, that's for sure. Because I can see the shine from the first coat through the second coat, or what's supposed to be the second coat. You can see through it. It's not a second coat, I'm here to tell you. But we look pretty good here. I don't see any shinies. Everything looked pretty good. Oh, my nemesis. Okay. So what that is, this is Florida, and we have those little white, I don't know what they're from, dandelions maybe? They float around in the air? Oh my God. Let me go ahead and tell you how that'll ruin your whole day. I had one that landed right there. I don't like that. Not supposed to have weeds and shit in it. I mean, if you pay extra to have weed in it, then that's one thing, but you know, they're not paying extra for the weed, so I got to get that out of there. All right, looks like we're pretty good. Yeah, wasn't good. I am going to roll this over into the oven, and the compressor just kicked back on, so we're going to roll it in the oven, bake it. We'll show you what it looks like. Okay, the way the baking on this works, on powder coating in general, is it's rated for a temperature and a time. And what that means is, and powders are different. Some are 356, some are 380, some are 400. But basically what it means is that once that part reaches, let's say 380, then the time starts. So what they mean by 10 minutes at 400, let's say, is 10 minutes once the part reaches 400. Now, that's not really telling you how long to bake it now, is it? Because the reason they can't tell you that, because they don't know how long the particular part that you're working on is going to take to heat up. So if you're working on something that's a ½ inch thick, you know, a piece of steel, it may take 25 minutes just to reach 380 or 400. So you have to, once it reaches that temperature, then you start the 10-minute clock. So that's how that works, and that's how people miss the cure a lot. The easiest way to do it is, once you start getting some experience, you'll realize that, oh, that part's going to take about this long to heat up. So what I do is I set a timer for the about that long time, and I pull the part out and shoot it with an infrared thermometer to see what the part temperature is. Then when you start getting to, let's say 370, 380, you know you're right in the ballpark. You put it back in, set your timer for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever the temperature happens to be, and bake it out. So that's the way that works. A lot of people, I mean, it's not real hard to understand, but a lot of people just don't know that's how it works. And that's how people miss the cure. You either over bake it because it's very thin and it took no time to heat up, or you under bake it because it's thick and you didn't get it hot enough. We do a lot of airboat stuff. So there's a wire that goes over the guard. That's just, I mean, it's wire like you see me hang the parts with. It's hot almost instantly when you put it in the oven. You put it in the oven and in a minute, it's 400 degrees. So generally when I do wire, I will set the timer for 12 minutes, throw it in. When it beeps, I take it out, because I already know that it's hot very quickly. But yeah, that's pretty much how that works. And I just wanted to go over the baking process with you so you understood how that works. That's happening right now. We have 8 minutes and 25 seconds left on the timer. I set that stuff for 18 minutes. I bake at 380. This powder is a 390 powder. The reason behind that is this oven's a little lively. It's a little, it has a lot of heat input. And the other reason is to not, especially with gloss blacks and darker colors, if you over bake it, the first thing that happens is it knocks the gloss off of it. So what was gloss black now looks satin black, or somewhere between satin black and gloss black. And if you're doing multiple batches on the same item, like we are in this airboat, there's got to be, I don't know, 6 or 7 carts like you saw here. And you over bake one of them, that one cart won't have the gloss level that the rest of them have. So you got to be careful not to over bake. And then also you got to be careful not to under bake it. There's a sweet spot there. It's not super hard to hit it, but I mean, if you use the non-contact infrared thermometer that we use, I use a DeWalt one here. Let me go grab it. I use this guy here. As you see, it's digital. It has adjustable emissivity. The emissivity is for, how do I explain this? It looks at different colors different ways. So the emissivity for silver is different than the emissivity for black. For the most part, the silvers and the reflective colors are the ones you have to adjust the emissivity on. The rest of it, we just go with what it says pretty much. And then we pull it out. Sometimes we can do a manual cure test, or sometimes, depending on what the item is, we'll do a like item and do a destructive cure test. Just depends on what you're doing. So that pretty much explains the curing process, and we'll show you those parts when they come out of the oven. And here we go. We got some beautifulness going on here. Like black candy. Looks pretty good. This PPG black is just, it's like the king of all of them. There's nothing better. Nothing better. I love it. It lays out nice and smooth. And I'll tell you what, it's not easy for powder coating companies to make black powder. For some reason, I'm gonna tell you, you wanna test the powder coating company, that's what you do. When a new powder coat company comes to see you and say, hey, will you use my material? You know what you tell them? Say, yeah, I'm interested. And they're always like, can we send you some samples of anything? Yeah, send me gloss black. You'll see the guy sigh. Oh, because it ain't easy to do. I'm just telling you. There's hundreds of companies out there making gloss blacks, and there's about 4 of them that are any good. So we are going to move on to doubling up this one. This one still has a single coat on it, just the hot coat. And okay, and there's another couple of things I'll go over too that I kind of wanted to touch on. You saw me put the first coat on it and then set it aside for it to cool, okay? That's an important step. So basically what I do is I heat the part up to, let's say 380, okay? And then I coat it hot and it melts. And then I set it off to the side to cool, and then I dust it up again, which is what you saw me do. The first was a time lapse, and the second was actually a regular video. I did it both ways, so you could tell me which way you guys like it the best. If you want to listen to me jibber jabber while I do it, it's hard to wear the respirator and jibber jabber, but you know. Yep, that's 1 card of black, and when it cools, what I do is I use this stuff from Harbor Freight. It's about the best place to buy. You can buy it. I mean, you can order it if you want, but by the time you ship it and all that, not worth it. And I wrap everything up, as you can tell. I try to, if it's not a giant piece, I wrap it up. And the reason I do that is because if you know anything about a powder coating shop, this place is a dirt hole. I mean, Yeah, that stuff right there, that's hanging on the cart right there, if I left it there and did a couple of other jobs, it would have not only other materials on it, but it would have, I mean, stuff from out here. You know, this is a whole big nature world out here. Stuff floats in the door. I mean, man. So what I do is I wrap it up before it gets dusty or dirty, so that when the customer gets the part, what if the guy doesn't pick it up for 2 weeks and it sits here on my carpet? You won't even be able to tell what color it is by the time he gets it. So I like to wrap it up so that when the customer gets it and they unwrap it, it still looks new. It looks just like it does hanging there on that cart. The other thing is it helps a little bit for the customer to transport it. If you notice, if you take, what do we do? Let's say take these two. See how it doesn't want to slide? It wants to stick to itself. So when you're transporting it and you stack it in there, it doesn't want to slide. It wants to stay where it's at. So I don't know, it's an added expense. It's not too bad. The stuff's like 30 bucks a roll and it lasts pretty good. So we go ahead and wrap everything up when we're done. So I'm gonna dust this cart up and then, which is really nothing to look at. And we'll call these two done for the day, and I'll wrap this up and move on to the next job. Thank you for watching. If there's any questions that you have, put them down in the comments. I don't mind answering questions, or, if you see something I did that was stupid or you don't agree with, let's talk about it, because I don't know everything. I don't know anything, to be honest with you. We're just going to put it just like that. I just do what I do, and it seems to work. And, if you guys got a better way to do this, or something that is either a shortcut. I don't like shortcuts that cut the quality now. I mean, if you're going to offer a shortcut now, we need to maintain a certain level of quality here. We can't cut corners off of a square and make it a circle. That ain't gonna be good. So, all right, well, I appreciate it. If you guys want to see some more videos, like and subscribe. We're gonna keep doing them. I think I'm just gonna do lots of different things. I'm gonna do specialized videos like on masking and just all kinds of different things that are challenging. I would really like to show you guys the blasting, on the other side. But man, I'm gonna tell you, that stainless steel grit's gonna eat my camera up. So, and the problem with the stainless is it sticks to all the magnets that are in the devices. And it just, man, I don't even like taking the camera over there, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I'd like to try to show you the blasting. I got to figure out a way to do that. They make, this happens to be a GoPro 11, so they make a cover for it, and we'll see what we can do to show you some blasting. That's an important part of all of this. That's what makes it, that's really what makes it durable. And the thing that the OEM manufacturers skip is the blasting. If you maybe own a powder coat shop or have experience with it, you'll notice that if you use a chemical stripper on things that are factory powder coated, that you will find out that they were never blasted. The mill scale's still on it. They just pickle them, clean them, and hang it up and powder coat it. That's not how you do it for a powder coating shop. That's not how you do it. The OEM manufacturers are just trying to get a color on it to keep it from rusting while it's in the box. I hate to tell you that, but that's the God's honest truth. They don't care if it rusts. Well, maybe if it has a year warranty or a 2-year warranty, they care. But it doesn't seem like they give a damn, because none of them blast. And the reason that is because blasting is expensive. It is labor intensive and it's expensive. The consumables are expensive. And it adds to the cost of it. But all right, I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.